This is something close to a disaster. It's the only sort of survivor from that big boxed set, and therefore I don't have a specific cover, bit of box art for it. And having had it kicking around for some years, I've lost the instructions and quite possibly the markings. So this could be a shambles. But in amongst the bag of shambles is, I've completely forgotten what it is. It's a Fairey battle. So what I'm going to do is make it as far as I can and see if I can, get the rest on my side at some point. And finally, just before we actually start, it's worth saying this is going to be another one with the wheels down, because I've already made one of these. Again, when the computer was eating up the shots. And of course I made it with the wheels up. A mate gave me a box that had 4 models in, and I think it's something like Victoria Cross winners. It might be where the first Hurricane came from, and possibly the Hanley Page Hampton. What I've done with the instructions since then I don't know. And then this one is from that other big box collection thing. So yet again I've lost the instructions, which is absolutely terrible. Just notice, looking at the markings as well, what are those orange and red ones? I'm going to have to look this up eventually, but I think I can make the model pretty much as it is. Off we go. So, bunch of the main bits stuck together, waiting for other little pieces, such as that, to be inserted in. Bit of painting to do on the interior, and we're not quite halfway there, but nearly. I've just got to think my way through the wheels, the undercarriage, machinery. But yeah, this is one of those really classic Airfix marvels that were problem free and just fit together fantastically, and you get a gorgeous little model out of it. Nice one, Airfix, in the past. Well done. Just a simple little interior, usual stuff from Airfix. It's not showing up very well, is it? But I'm sure we've all been there before. It just takes a moment, and look, we're almost done. I did have to put a very strong peg on the nose because the interior wanted to fight back. And the green on the interior looks a bit bright as well, doesn't it? But anyway, and I had to leave that for about 5 hours because it really did want to fight back. But there we are, it's glued. So we won. Brilliant. Now I've got to negotiate the rather fiddly undercarriage. Trust me, I won't have this one with the wheels down. And then I think it's camouflage time. In fact, camouflage first, undercarriage second. Another question is, were the bombs black or green? I have to jump on the internet for that one. Here we are with some, I suppose, just brown paint on. I've got the right number, colour from the Humbrol range. It looks a little paler than usual, but then I've made the move towards going for the Belgian aircraft, although it's the same colour in the instructions, which I've looked up online. So there we go, it looks paler, so that's that. And I have consequently, I don't want to tip it up too much under various circumstances, but we've gone for the pale grey underneath. All of these colours I will be adding a little bit of surface texture to, but not too much, so that there's just a little bit of, not quite weathering, just a little bit of gentle wear and tear. Anyway, there it is. Oh, and the wheels are on. Hang on. Yeah, funny little wheels. Didn't enjoy that really. But anyway, it's a small matter. Which leaves me now to put on small bits and pieces and the glass. And being a Fairey aircraft, the glass isn't just a cockpit canopy, it goes all the way over there. It's more like a greenhouse. And I still don't feel I'm doing particularly well with that kind of thing. I will use acrylic and I will try and pick off any incorrect bits. But sometimes even my picking off is a bit shaky. I'm getting old, you know. Shaky hands and can't see so well. Never mind. Glass on. It wasn't the most joyous adventure. Let's find something to point with as usual. Here's a sparkly pen. That bit from that kind of rectangle really didn't want to fit between the two bits. This long section goes down here, so it has to fit. There's no option. Then you put the rectangular bit in, and that pushes the front portion outwards beyond where it should properly sit. That was a shame. It made it very messy. And then on the other side, that same piece had a little chip in it, which you can see there. I am not going to try and fill that. Anyway, and then I had to paint it, which hasn't gone too badly. I've got to tidy it up still. And then, tidy that up, put some markings on, and finally the spiky bits that like to break off, and it will be done. So definitely going for the Belgian markings. Why couldn't I remember that word? There it is, done. The light's quite nice today, but it's a little bit windy, so it could take off. You never know. And there in the background are the power poles, which for once, just being a little bit later than the medieval period, for once they look alright in the background. How's the aeroplane, mind you? Could have done better as ever. I think the big problem I had with this one is the canopy, as ever. That's my big struggle at the moment, and with this one I think I made the paint too thin. So when I scraped off, this is acrylic paint, when I scraped off the excess, I kind of thinned everything out and took a lot of other stuff with it, and then had to repaint, and it's all gone a bit thick and thin and patchy and so on. So, and I've looked up, on to internet, lots of stuff about painting canopies, but I just can't get it right at the moment. So, more practice needed. Let's see how that progresses. As for the aircraft itself, it's a sleek beauty, typical of the Fairey kind of team of aircraft. Long and slender, wide, slim wings, and it is a very, very good looking aircraft. I dare say it's not one of the top ones, it's not Spitfire, is it? But there we go. And then there's the model. How was that? All in all, very good. A couple of fiddly bits, as you'd expect. A little bit of a struggle with the canopy, which didn't help with the paintwork. And quick and easy to do. It's a very another one of those typical classic Airfix jobs. Easy enough, just enough detail and enough little bits, and generally all round a pleasure to do. So yet again, enjoyed myself. It could have come out a bit better, couldn't it? But there we go. Yeah, good one. Well done, Airfix, yet again. I'm going to have to try a few different makes, aren't I? I've started getting in not a rut, but in a habit of doing Airfix. And finally, and just worth mentioning, isn't it nice to have a member of the Belgian Airforce in the collection? I'm glad I made that decision, just because it's nice to see a little bit, you know, some other options out there. Which means I might have to go back to the Handley page Hampton and do a Swedish version. So there we go. Hello Belgium. Nice place, Belgium. Nice people. Been there a lot because of the First World War stuff. Worked with the museum at Ypres quite often. And really, really good, kind, straightforward folks in a fabulous country. I like Belgium. So hello Belgium. And let's face it, they spent the whole of the Middle Ages pretty successfully resisting sort of Frankish royal domination, as did a lot of the rest of France. So that's not a nationalist thing, it's a power thing. And the other thing they do, of course, is they put mayonnaise on their fries, which they should be given some kind of international honour for. I've started to take a real interest in I was going to say a very funny phenomena. I guess it isn't, for many reasons. One is it's not very humorous. Of what aircraft look like on the ground, because that's what the top camouflage is usually all about. So here we are from a distance. Imagine flying over that on a simple green surface. Nice grassy surface. How well does it show up? Of course, they're rarely ever on such a simple green surface, but that's just, you know, question number one. I did years ago, I got involved with some group or another where we painted up enormous boards in various different types of camouflage and took them out into the, I was going to say the countryside, but it was a big kind of estate. Someone had hired out a hotel for a bunch of meetings and stuff, and we'd ridden on the back of that and gone out into the estate and stood these things up and then walked away. Different groups stood different ones up, so we didn't know where they all were. You just walk around and see how long it takes to find them. German tank camouflage, I know they're often individually done, but the general styles of tank camouflage were very, very hard to find. See, now I'm going to have to explain what the French were doing resisting French royal authority in the Middle Ages, aren't I? But we'll save that up for another day. But basically, the dukedoms of France didn't particularly like being controlled by the King of France. So, you know, they resisted. Brittany didn't fall under the hammer of French royal authority until the very end of the 1400s, when the English King Henry VII, who's not a great man, completely let them down. Brittany, that is. So yeah, we'll deal with that another day. Probably when we're doing something to do with knights. Or castles. Anyway, cheers. Thank you for watching. I hope this wasn't too horrible. And thank you for subscribing. Do come again.